Then they created a fake Iron Curtain because Eastern Europe, they totally destroyed it and they needed to erase the history. Then they totally need to carry on separating the families in the 50s, NKVD. Why in Bosnia? People who stayed there, yes, Islam mysteriously survived over there. Well, I'm so happy, and I want everybody else to be happy. All the dummies. Welcome to all the dummies, if there's any dummies out there. Yes? Well, okay. Somebody will like to say, "What? Why didn't Daddy or Pope or Papa? Why did he? Why he doesn't get the welcome today? But it's all the dummies. Hi, say hello to Ventura. It's Ace Ventura, by the way. Dumb and dumber to all the dummies. Well, anyway, it's like thing is because people are getting misled by dummies. Yes, so the thing is, no wonder the New World Order is going to take over. Yeah, well, it serves the dummies right because if they're willing to be dumb, yes, then what do you call it? Yes, then they're going to be ruled by intelligent people. Yes, who are going to treat them as dummies. Yes, well, you know, we had this video, Secrets of the Kabbalah. Yes, and of course there was a very intelligent dummy who commented. Yes, let's have a look at one of these, how the world is misled. Yes, well, what do you call it? This intelligent dummy, yes, because he wrote an insulting comment. So of course, if somebody says, "Oh, David's being insulting," well, let's read what this intelligent dummy said. I find David very interesting to listen to. Have never read any of his books, admittedly. Oh, that's intelligent to make a comment without reading any of the books. But the idea that people in the United States of America in the 1950s couldn't speak English is just insulting to anyone's intelligence. He's what type of intelligence is he talking about? Is it from the dumb brains or dumb and dumber brains? Well, let's have a look at what I actually said. Yes, I sent you a screenshot of that video and I will send it to you again. You know, the automatic subtitles there, you can read what I actually said. What did I say, Raphael?
So here you say in the 1940s, yes, they used actors, but many or the most people couldn't speak English.
Properly. Yeah, it just goes on. Yes, I said 1940s. There's a difference between 10 years. Now, he's just put down here in the 1950s. And I said they couldn't speak English properly. Yes? What do you call it? Yes. In fact, I downloaded the SRT also so that then I could check it just in case my voice wasn't good. I thought maybe I'm just being blind. But let's go through this. One, there is a full 10-year difference. Yes. Two, he spoke with his intelligence, which let's have a look. Is this, you know, a clever, intelligent being, or is this dumb and dumber? Yes. And then using the word insulting. Yes, to anyone's intelligence, we'll see what type of intelligence this person has. Now, the thing is, many people will read these comments and many people will think, yeah, it sounds realistic. Yeah, what do you call it? Yeah, he sounds like an ordinary guy. It's just insulting to anyone's intelligence that in the 1950s, people couldn't speak English properly in the United States. One, I said the 1940s. Yes, 1940 is what you call it, yes, you know, at the time of Hitler, in case somebody is forgetting. So let's have a go through US history. Yes, in the 1940s, 30s, and 1920s, that decade. What do we see here, Raphael? Yes, what do we know happened in the 1940s?
American
You can read
education
it.
was transformed in the 1940s. At all levels it became,
Transformed. What does transformed mean?
well, it can mean a
Totally
lot,
changed.
yes.
Yes, it became better organized, better funded, and more standardized across the country. Yes, in subjects such as, you can read it yourself.
Literature, history, and the arts.
Literature is important because it includes languages. Now go to the next paragraph. The main reasons for this was because of what?
The
World
main
War Two.
reason for these changes was World War II. Yes.
The war exposed many problems. Problems.
hmm
Yes. Yeah. Um, you could carry on reading.
In
Yes.
total, the army rejected 5 million recruits, some because of poor health, but many because they could not read and write.
Yeah, they couldn't read and write English.
hmm
English.
hmm
And also they couldn't speak it properly because they couldn't even write it because many of them hadn't been to school properly. So now let's look at what the United States was in 1940. Yes, let's have a look because many people aren't having a look properly. What do you call it? Yes, let's just have a look at New Orleans. You could read it. In the 1940s, there were more.
In the 1940s, there were more immigrants than ever in New Orleans. hmm
Okay, not just there, but throughout the United States, everybody could verify this. Everyone will say our grandparents, yeah, we know them. Many are still alive from the 1940s. They came to America from where?
France,
France?
Italy, and Eastern Europe.
Yes, Jews, Scandinavians, and other places. Well, from all over Europe. So we're talking about Poland, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Romania, Bulgaria, Greece, Italy, Spain, Portugal, and even in those places, like for example in Italy, we know in the 1940s, and even in Germany, many people couldn't speak Italian or German properly. Yes. And let's just have a look. So everyone knows there's a big Italian population, Italian ancestry or Mediterranean ancestry. And let's have a look. In the 1940s, what do you call it? Italian youngsters, yes, had a much lower rate of what?
So they found that
Had a much
Italian
lower
youngsters
rate.
had a much lower rate of high school graduation.
In them days, New York was a city, but people who went to the small towns and villages, what do you call it? The schools finished by the age of 10, 11, or 12. And high school graduation was not like today with many subjects. We're talking about the main subject was, can you even speak English? You see? Yes, in the 1940s. So now let's have a look. And we're going through the United States here, just the United States. And we're going through many different websites and everything, just in the prison population, up to 1940. And what do we find? It's highlighted. The prison population in the United States was up to around 50% was made up of whom?
Of
Including
foreign
foreign born.
born and non English speaking European immigrants. That's a lot, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's up to half that they couldn't even speak English just in prison. You could. I'm not talking about just prison. You can check many other institutions, and you'll find up to half couldn't even speak English. Yes, who came from Europe? Yeah, by 1940. Yes, and what do you call it? Yes, in case somebody wants the full website, is that, and they can check it and they can verify it. So now let's go through the United States itself. Yes, in the 1920s and 30s, this is just 10 years before the 1940s. So what do you call it? Yes, um, there was a big movement after World War One. Yes, because of the war with Germany. Yes, and here is somebody, John Smith, and what do you call it? Yes. What was this? Somebody called John Smith signed 1918. What does he say? I hereby pledge myself a Secret Service agent to.
Wow. I hereby pledge myself a Secret Service agent to protect the language of my country, to capture all spies of bad English.
Bad English because people couldn't speak English and to keep my position secret. Yes. Now let's look at this after World War One. So after the First World War, yes, what do you call it? They banned foreign language education because at that time German had just been standardized. Yes, and there was many business people from Europe and elsewhere who wanted to spread the German languages. It wasn't because it was a language, because they had German versions of Christianity and other versions. It was like let's get people to join our churches. because schools were run by churches until they were taken over
Right?
by the government.
Right. That's
Now,
official
now
story. Yeah.
read this, the third line. Before World War One,
Before World War One, 25% of American high school students studied German.
studied in German. So now these people, yes, they're still around in 1940, if that's 1923.
Right.
So one quarter of the Americans, just 25% that we know in 1940 are German speakers. But they learnt only basic German. They spoke an older language that was already in Europe because that German language was new. They were trying to brainwash them in German because there was a big German movement. So now by 1922, because there's going to be some dumb and dumber dummies who are going to say, oh, these people, no, the schools plummeted to 9.6%. Yes, that were teaching throughout the United States that were teaching German. Yes, so those schools, many of them started teaching English or they had shut down. But the pupils who had already learned German, who are still alive, yes, but they don't speak German fluently, but they're speaking some of the dialects with their parents. Yes, because they didn't speak English, they're speaking other strange things, Alsace language or Lorraine language or Milan language or the language of Bavaria or the language of the villages outside Berlin. So as you could see, these people didn't even speak German, you see? So
So
they came and they were
just to
trying to
understand,
brainwash them in
could
German.
this mean that the modern German, the way we know it today, was only
Yeah, it's a
started?
fake.
Yeah, yeah, but that it was only started to be standardized in Germany, even maybe in the 1930s or something like this. That this was part of the thing.
No, that they were teaching it in the 30s, so it was fully standardized and ready after the late 1880s, and ready basically to start teaching. So we had the same problem. That's why I said in the 1930s, it's strange how Hitler mysteriously came to power, and they're trying to say everyone understood him because they couldn't have, because the German people couldn't even speak German. Yes, that even in the 1950s and 60s we have this problem. So now we have this poster from the uh, around 1920, 1920s and 30s. Similar things were being given out in the United States. It says, "What your speech, laddie? This is your pledge and your promise." Can you hear me,
Yes.
laddie? This is your pledge. Now you can read it yourself. I love who?
Okay. The Watch Your Speech pledge. I love the United States of America. I love my country's language, and I promise, one, that I will not dishonor my country's speech by leaving off the last syllables of words.
What?
Two, that I will say
Wait.
a
What?
good.
That's enough. But basically, people couldn't speak English. So there's these posters going around in the 1920s, yeah, 1925, maybe even 1930. There are things like this. Yes, so the thing is, we've still got them. Yes, and the thing is, there's posters, similar things, and other things. What do you call it? Pronounce the words correctly. You can't speak English properly. You understand?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, things like, I shall try to make my country's language beautiful for the many girls and boys. That's why they sung many carols and other things in the 1920s, 30s, and 40s, to get the people to get interested into the English language so that it will become the dominant language. Can't you see this? Can you
Makes
see it,
sense.
Raphael?
Makes sense, yeah.
So, do you think people were being dumb and dumber, or it's actually, what do you call it? Yes, David's just being unintelligent. Am I insulting intelligence, or somebody was insulting how dumb they can be? It's insulting dumbness, dummies. Yeah, let's go through statistics here. Like, for example, what do you call it? They made laws. What do you call it? Yes. But these laws, a lot of them, history and dating has been falsified. Another thing, they made laws. What do you call it? For example, in New York, after World War One, around that time, what does it say? Act. making it a misdemeanor to make a speech or talk in a public manner in any language other than English upon any subject relating to the form or character of the government or the administration or the enforcement of the laws of this state of the United States. So this is probably in a public building or something like this. Can you see it?
Yeah.
That they're trying to enforce English in the 1930s. Yes, in the 1920s, I mean, and the 30s. So now let's calculate. Let's calculate when I said, hey, most people, most means 50% or more. Let's calculate the United States in 1940. Yes, as late as 1910. You can read it yourself.
As late as 1910, about 9% of the American population had been born in Germany or was of German parentage.
That's
9%.
just Germany itself. Then the Germanic languages and people who studied German, up till 1920, there's a quarter of them who studied in the schools that we can find. And many of that 9 or 10%, they didn't even go to the schools. Then we've got the people from Norway, Estonia, Lithuania, Latvia, Finland, Sweden, yes, Denmark, Holland, France, Luxembourg, Belgium, Spain, Portugal, Italy, Switzerland, Austria, Poland, Czechoslovakia, Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, Greece, Albania, Russia, Ukraine. All these people who've come to the United States. Have I basically won? Am I basically right, or do you think I'm still not right yet? Okay, let's go more deeper into this. Yes.
It is not for
So
me.
now,
It is not for me to decide, but the main thing that
no,
has to
you'll
be
be able to
no
calculate.
just
You'll be able to
no just let me
calculate. Wait,
say
I'm nowhere near finished. Yes. Let me give you the statistical data evidence. So now, even today, approximately about 15% of the people will say that they are, or 17% up to 20% are German Americans, just Germans. Yes, just from German ancestry. That's today. Now, what do you call it? Yes. Now let's have a look at 1930 before I sent you 1910. So now you could read this yourself. 1930, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. Yes, for just in Texas. Let's have a look at just in Texas.
there's
You could read it yourself,
approximately
right?
70% of the 49 million people in the United
No,
States.
not this. The next one. The next one. By 1930, according to the U.S. Census Bureau.
Persons born in Germany or whose parents were born there made up a full 36% of, quote, foreign white stock in Texas.
The next largest group.
Was from Czechoslovakia at 11.5%.
Then there's the rest of Europe. This is just Texas that we're finding half the people can't speak English. Huh? Am I making this up? Or can you even see? Let's go through this more. Let's have a look at the United States Army. So now they wouldn't let 5 million people in. So, of course, they're going to be short of soldiers. Yes? So what do you call it? Yes, there's the Latinos, and then all the others, many soldiers. It was a common saying in the US Army in World War II. Yes? What did they used to say? You're in the
American Army, speak English.
Speak English, man. You got to speak English, man, because so many people could not speak English. Now let's have a look at what percentage of the United States was just Spanish and all these, you know what I mean, Mexicans and all these other people, and the Asians in 1940. According to the 1940 census, most of them didn't go to school. Yes, learning English. So now calculate it yourself. Read it yourself. Hispanics or Latinos?
They were 16.3%.
And
Asians made up 4.8% in 1940
that's
US
another
census.
20%. That's another 20% here. Wait, huh? And most of these people, it's well known, they couldn't even speak English. And then they're going to turn and say in England, they probably spoke English. Just the island of Jersey. Look at this. Yeah, Jersey is famous. Many people from England go to holiday there. Read this. I started school in 1940. Read it yourself.
I wasn't quite six and a
1940.
half, and I didn't know a word of English. All my classmates were the same. And we all had to learn English pretty darn quick because in the 1940s and 50s, if you went to school and spoke Gerrier, it was forbidden. Hmm.
Jarish. Yes, Jarish. Yes, that's another thing. Because if you went to Algeria today or Tunisia, they'll say, where's your Jarisha? What's Jarisha? Jarisha is a common word in many other parts of the world. But we're talking about even in Jersey. Jersey, we can't even find an English language, and there was a similar thing throughout England that in the 1940s that people a lot of the dialects. So the thing is, if somebody is going to insult me, so of course they use the word insulting to anyone's intelligence. This is an insult to the dummies. One, I said the 40s, you've said 50s. Yes, it's an insult to dummies, dumb and dumber. Yes, and oh, nowhere near finished. What do you call it? Yes, so let's have a look. So now let's go through this. The 1940s education. What do we know just about the 1940s? 10 million adults were listed as in the city areas
Hmm.
because the village areas and the small towns and places they didn't have proper records. What did they say? 1940.
They say 10 million adults are listed as illiterate, unable to read or write by the United States Census in 1940. Hmm.
Yes, those are U.S. citizens. I'm not talking about the immigrants, and there are millions of people who came and other things. Well, that's according to how they classified as citizens, or sometimes the census story isn't even corrupt. Yes, but another thing is most people didn't even go to school. When I say most, it's because the thing is when I say school, like school today, like what time did school finish? How many years education did they have? And many schools lied and said, hey, students are here till the age of 11 or 12, and they come every day and they've been here for many years. And then many of them had to go to work. Yes, but what do we know here? They didn't even have secondary schools. It was only after the 1940s or the war changed everything that the government realized we have to brainwash the people, have a single language, have a single thing, get the people to learn this history, this language, this, and that. Yes, so that then, what do you call it, they will recognize us as the government. They did this in every other country. It's not just in the United States. So we can't even find these schools. Yes, people whereby people could speak English properly. Yes. And then we've got the blacks in the United States. Yes. And the blacks, there was like hardly any of them went to school before 1900. And then when we're talking about the 1940s, the record isn't even clear because the whites say, oh no, a lot of them went to school. But the blacks say, no, you're lying. Yes, this is a disputed thing. So we've got them, and what do you call it? The school attendance and everything that is still under dispute. And then in 1940, so I'm nowhere when I said 50% or more, which is most Americans couldn't even speak. Read this yourself. 1940.
In 1940, the population was 89.8% white, not 9.8% black, and the rest counted as other.
Ah, so white, they're probably including, the Hispanics and the other things. So now we've got another 10% here. We've got the Latinos and the white Asiatics, yes, 10%. The 20% before we pointed out. Now we've got 10% black, yes, and then we've got 25% who were studying German. So in 1940, when I said the 40s, most people couldn't speak English properly. Do you think I was correct or I was wrong now?
It seems like you're correct from
Now,
the census data you've shown, yeah?
yes, this is from the official history, and it's not just me who says this. And then let's have a look. Even many people, yes, this is just common public opinion. Yes, and even in Hollywood, the living district, there's North Hollywood and all these other places. And what were people saying about just
Hollywood
even
was
in
filled with European refugees who spoke English badly, and they're making fun of them in a kind-hearted way. in
Yeah,
Casablanca, apparently.
this is like local people who are commenting because they knew from their grandparents. So the thing is, I'm not an insulting person, but if somebody is going to turn around and make me look dumb and say, but the idea that people in the USA in the 1950s couldn't speak English properly, I said properly. Yes, and I said 1940s. That's a 10-year difference. Before the war, couldn't speak English is just insulting to anyone's intelligence. Yes. Now the thing is, yes, I've just proved that this person's intelligence is dumb and dumber. So the thing is, yes, normally I check things. Of course, I probably make mistakes sometimes, but this was something that's in my books, and they have said, I admittedly, yes, I have never read any of David's books, admittedly. So they admit that they're dumb. Yes, then they're insulting, putting an insulting comment, insulting to anyone's intelligence. In other words, saying David is insulting people's intelligence. Okay, I'm sorry to insult the intelligence. I will be glad and happy to state and show the Jim Carrey, dumb and dumber. Yes? So to the dummies, please go away. It's because of you, the world, people like you, the world is a mess. It's because of people like you, there are people in power who are taking advantage of people. It's because of people like you that there's all these other fake truthers who can go come out there now and brainwash people. So now, Raphael, I will ask you. I stopped you before. I apologize for that. It's because I had a genuine case to stop you. Would you agree that around half or more than half, yes, in the 1940s could not speak English properly?
Yes, from the data you've
Would
shown,
you agree?
this is what it looks like. I would agree.
What from what I've shown? Do you think I made up all these pages?
No,
Wikipedia,
but I'm
Encyclopedia
just
Britannica.
saying, I'm just always saying that
Do
because there
you think
is
I made up the US Census?
no,
Do you think I've made up Black Lives
I'm
Matter that they're complaining, saying
I'm not
they
saying
wouldn't
that.
let us go to
Just
school in the
just because of
1930s
the
and 40s?
nature of the topic we're discussing, there can always be more and additional information. But yeah, and it's not the first time I've heard this either. It is quite well known that there is a or was a huge
It's not
German
just in
speaking
America. We're saying that. Yes,
population
go on.
in America that is supposedly, if this is true or not, but even were deciding should it be German or English and all these things, so it's not entirely unknown. But the main point here, I would say, actually is to listen properly also to what you have been saying, and you clearly stated 1940s, and then of course it's important a 10-year difference. So
Even by 1950.
of
The
course
thing
we
is,
could
it's
extend that even, but I'm just saying that
yeah.
it's just important to listen properly, especially when talking about this type of information.
Now, this information was very important because I've not gone into the US history yet. And many people think these evangelical churches and all these things were already there and people were already Christians. By the way, if so many people came from Europe and we can't find Christianity in Europe, what happened in America? Did they use the English language and then switch people's religions? And the thing is, don't forget the education system. It was these religious institutions, the churches that controlled the schools.
Yes.
Did this have a lot to do with making money? And there's many people who are turning around and saying, what do you call it? Yes, that it's the Zionists and Jewish Zionists who have so much power. Yes, in America. But did anybody have a look at the power and the brainwashing of the Christian Zionists, and maybe that they are using the people who have become the modern Jewish people? There's a lot of things. Now, the reason why I spoke out, it's because if nobody knows this specific history of how language has the English language entered the United States and the Christian religion and the Bible, then the thing is, many people are not going to know the true history of the world of their ancestors because Christianity was not so big in America. All these people who are like peasants running from Europe, that they were forcing them into this new Christianity, and all these wars that's going on and forcing them into urbanization, into from villages seizing their lands so that corporations could take over. That soon this is going to be part of food security, that they're going to be feeding people garbage, that they're already thinking of this artificial food and everything. This is not a small matter. That's why I brought it up, because people like that are putting insulting comments. One, they're insulting me when I've just proved that they're the dummies, dumb and dumber dummies. Yes, like can the dummies please go away? Because somebody's going to read these things and somebody's going to think, yeah, maybe in the 1950s, but these people are just imagining things. That's what it is. They're imagining things and telling the world. That's what the New World Order has done. They want you to imagine things. Now, when you imagine, that's part of Masonry, to imagine history and imagine symbols. I've never gone into this before, but the thing is, in the new book, I'll go into it, and a lot of it is in my book, Secrets of Kabbalah, because they want you to imagine what is squares, what is triangles, and what is circles, because with human imagination, that's where humans fail. Yes, and that's the thing. There is actually two religions in the world. Soon people are going to realize one religion is about truth, and another religion is all about your imagination. And that's what they've done with history. They've put it all on imagination. Anyway, Raphael, so I will say it for the final time and then we'll move on to the next topic. What do you say? Not David. What would you say? That you've just gone through this. Would you say that most people in America, most means more than 50%, less than 60, could not speak English properly in the 1940s? Would you say this is a true statement or it's false?
From what I've learned now, it would be a true statement.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Was I insulting that person's intelligence, or were they insulting me? Which one was it?
Well, in a way, they were insulting themselves by not listening properly and putting the proper date there or doing some research themselves. That's
Yes.
what I would say.
Yes. What I would like to say to everybody else, do research yourself. Don't be one of the dummies. You know, I like dummies. They're there. They're on television to be laughed at. Yes. So you're just being laughed at. So now the next comment. We have an honest gentleman here, not like the previous comment, where people are behaving dumb and dumber. This is an intelligent comment, and it's an intelligence issue, a serious issue that needs to be dealt with. So the thing is, this gentleman's from France, Didier Lacapelle, a great writer. Yes, I find him very inspiring. Yes, he's got some books about world history and the lies of world history. If anybody is looking for them, they can find them online, but they're en français. Un peu difficile pour moi parce que je parle français, mais le livre de français, c'est difficile pour moi. Je comprends pas rien. Je comprends un peu. Désolé. Oui.
Pas de problème, David. Je suis sûr qu'il y
Non,
a
c'est un grand
quelques-uns
problème.
dans l'audience qui peuvent parler français, alors c'est pour eux. Mais c'est bien. Alors,
Non, non, non. Mais pour moi, c'est un grand problème parce que le travail de Didier, la capelle, c'est une chose nécessaire pour comprendre l'histoire. Yes, it is necessary to know
yes.
what Didier has said, because he's looking at this from a French perspective or European perspective, but also it is on the path that flamenco has taken, and we can learn a lot from this. You see?
Indeed,
Or
we can.
You don't see.
Oh, definitely,
Okay.
definitely. That's why we did an interview.
So this
Also
is
on this
why-
channel, anyone who likes more to understand more about Didier Lacapelle, there's at least one interview on my channel. If you just look for his name,
Yes.
recommended to watch.
Yes, of course. So this is why I will reply to this comment, because this is a very serious comment and is very intelligent. Yes. Excusez-moi for my French English. I'm trying to learn English better, but my English is okay. You think so, Raphael?
It's all right, David. But let's continue in
Okay.
English so that
Yes.
most people can
Now
understand
the
us.
thing is, what do you call it? Didier has pointed out. Of course, we mentioned that they've totally modified the history of Germany. Yes, after World War II. Yes, and Austria and Italy, and other places like Holland and Belgium and many other places. That World War II history, yes, even I find it just ridiculous. The thing is, it's in my book that it's just a total joke, that it's just 19 this and that. That I thought it's just a total joke. The book is available in some languages. It's called Adolf Hitler. In other languages, it's called Nazi Germany. So the strange thing is, they say that Hitler first became chancellor in the year 1933. 1933 en français. Oui, yes.
Oui.
So this is the year that Hitler come to power. Yes. Okay. So, but then he becomes the pharaoh or the Führer. Notice that he's called Führer or the pharaoh. Yes, and he comes to power on the 19th. It's all 19, and then the history of the camps and everything, all the major camps. 1919. You want to ask me about Auschwitz or this, that? 1919 is the reply. I'm telling you this in advance. Go and check it. So we know there is something wrong with the actual history of that we are being told. Yes. So now the thing is, Didier points out, saying, what do you call it? What could be the reason why they were called Muselman? Yes, or Muslimmans, of the people who were in the camps, who today we call them Jews or Judaism. Yes, and the thing is, and he's saying maybe it's that, or maybe tens of thousands of actors were paid to play the Jewish survivors. Okay, let's deal with this, because this is a very serious issue. Yes, so it's a serious issue. Yes, and what we find is that, what do you call it? Yes, in the 20th century, yes, what do you call it? Yes, and many of the orphans, yes, during the war and even after the war, you can read it yourself, that they were survivors of camps and other things.
So just to be clear, in
What do you
terms of
know?
the sourcing, this is from the worldjewishcongress.org, talking about the
Yeah.
community in Poland. Many of these orphans only discovered their Jewish origins late in life.
Ah, ah. But I thought Judaism is an old religion for many centuries. I thought there was the history of Rabbi Shalman Ner, yes, and all these other history. You know, the Alter Rabbi. I've been studying for a long time, and he even says, it's in my books. You know, that and the Milui letters of Hashem's name, Yahweh, is actually 19 in Gematria. Yes, and another thing is for Rabbi Shalman Ner, let's go to the great Hasidic movement of Chabad. Yes, and what do you call it? Yes, one of the biggest, most important days of Chabad and Lubavitch. Yes, is the celebration of his release. Yes, because they say he was in prison and he was released. Yes, and the thing is, this is what they say. They've given a history from the 18th century, and the day of celebration. I will let you read it. What is the date of his release, and is celebrated annually by Lubavitch organizations, by Chabad, the biggest one. What is the date?
The Hebrew day of his acquittal and release, 19 Kislev 5559.
Oh, stop, Raphael. Stop. Your glasses, please. Don't use the glasses that Daddy gave you. Have you brought a new pair of glasses since last time, or maybe they need a clean? Read it again. What date was it? What number?
Yes, on the Hebrew calendar, it is the 19 of Kislev.
19.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yes.
Ah.
Celebrated annually by Chabad Hasidim.
So one of the biggest things that Rabbi Shalman Shner said, or you could say Salman or Suleiman, whichever one you want to say, is about the Milui of Hashem's name. Yes, and let's see, maybe I won't be able to find this online. It's 19 in Gematria. Yes, for Yahweh or Jehovah. Let's see. Nope, maybe I can't find it. But it's 19. It's one of the biggest things in his discoveries. When I was younger and I was reading from his work, I thought, whoa, this is just amazing. Yes. So the thing is, now let's go a bit further and deeper. Let's examine, the Second World War. Who is this from? Which organization?
This is from Forward, Jewish independent nonprofit. A newspaper, probably, or a publication.
Okay. So now let's have a look. In Nazi Germany, there seems to be something going on against the foreigners. Yes, and what do you call it? Yes, and many of these people in
Oh,
Germany,
wow. Okay.
in Czech Republic, and everywhere else, what do you call it? Yes, um, what do we know about them?
So here it says, um, many did not know they were Jewish until Hitler came, and he told
Ah,
them they were Jewish,
Raphael,
says Jan.
Heinz Davis, I am Hitler. Yes, yes, guten Tag, I am from the Gestapo. Raphael, I don't like you people. You got brown eyes, brown hair. You're a little shorter in Germany and Austria.
Does this mean
Say
I'm
is
Jewish now?
guten Tag.
yes.
All right, so this was said by Jan Munk, director of the Terezin Memorial and chairman of Prague's Jewish community. He says again, many did not
Not
know
to say,
they were Jewish until Hitler came and he told them they were Jewish. Wow, I never knew about this before. Very interesting.
yes, it's documented a lot, and if many people they don't have Jewish friends, actually, I think they should make Jewish friends. Good places to look online is what do you call it? Williamsburg, New York. Yes, I love that place. I love walking.